What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics and continue our coverage over with the X-Men reading order, and we pick up with Uncanny X-Men number 172 and 173. Now, with these two-part storyline, we get the wedding of Wolverine and Muriko, and honestly, it's a heartbreaking wedding moment. But of course, it's a fan favorite storyline. And so with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, please hit that like button down below and subscribe. But here we go. To begin today's video, we pick up with Uncanny X-Men number 172. Now, we do see the X-Men actually arriving in Japan for the wedding of Wolverine and Muriko. Because remember, in our last video, Wolverine went to Japan to save the woman he loves from her father. And when he killed her, of course, these two got engaged, and Wolverine sent home invitations to the X-Men, inviting them to his wedding. And so right now we pick up days before the wedding. Now, with that being said, Wolverine has been gone for a good period of time, and in that good period of time, Rogue had joined the X-Men, and Wolverine does not trust Rogue because remember, before she joined the X-Men, she was a bad guy. She fought against the Avengers and she also fought against the X-Men. But of course, Charles Xavier let her join the X-Men, and so you do have Storm tell Wolverine, hey listen, it's okay for her to be here because she is an X-Men. And even though Wolverine does not trust her, he will let her stay for now. Now, we actually do get the bad guy of the story, which is the Silver Samurai. And we met him back in our New Mutant videos. But back in those videos, we actually learned that Silver Samurai heard about the death of his father, Lord Shingen. Now, the death of Lord Shingen actually took place in Wolverine's first solo series, our last X-Men video. But with the death of Lord Shingen, Silver Samurai actually thought he'll be the one to take over the family's clan. But come to find out, Muriko, Wolverine's new fiance and Silver Samurai's half-sister, was the one who took over the family clan. And so he's here in Japan as a way to kill her. But of course, someone else is trying to stop him from killing her and also killing Wolverine. And that person is Yukio. Now, Yukio first appeared in our last X-Men video, Wolverine's first solo series. But in that video, she was introduced to us as a random lady who fell in love with Wolverine and Wolverine fell in love with her. Now, we came to find out that she was working with Lord Shingen as a way to kill Wolverine. But of course, she betrayed Lord Shingen to help Wolverine out. And right now, she is trying to kind of do different deeds as a way to regain the love of Wolverine. But with her fighting against the Silver Samurai, of course, Wolverine overhears it, and him, Nightcrawler, and Storm go outside to help Yukio fight against the Silver Samurai. Now, this fight does last for about 3 to 4 pages, but at the end, Silver Samurai is able to get away because he was not ready to fight the X-Men just yet. He was kind of studying them to learn what he could do to get rid of them. But at the same time, with Yukio appearing and the rest of the X-Men also appearing, he had to leave. Now, with him leaving, of course, Yukio leaves as well. And Storm finds Yukio as a very interesting character because Yukio is very happy, very chippy, and matter of fact, when Yukio almost died, she was kind of like, it's death. I know that sooner or later I will have to face death, but hey, whatever. And she leaves. And so right now, Storm is very intrigued about Yukio. But that is when you actually have Wolverine catch the rest of the X-Men up with what happened to Lord Shingen in our last video. Of course, Wolverine killed Lord Shingen as a way to free Muriko and her family clan. Now, at that same moment, Muriko does receive a letter. And with this letter, it tells her to meet somewhere tonight, and Muriko will go to that meeting, but she tells her assistant Tony to make sure not to tell Wolverine where she is going. Now, when Tony goes down an elevator, that is when she's attacked by Madam Hydra, aka Viper. Now, Madam Hydra, I do want to say at this point, does run Hydra, an evil organization in Marvel Comics, but I could be wrong. But the reason why she is here because the Silver Samurai is actually her right-hand man. But at the same time, they do kind of have this weird love thing between them. And so honestly, she is here to help Silver Samurai out more than just him being her right-hand man, but also because she actually cares for him a whole lot. Now, you actually do have Madam Hydra pretend to be Tony, and with her pretending to be Tony, she was able to poison the tea. And with her poisoning the tea, she does pass the tea out to all of the X-Men. Now, we do see Wolverine and Storm talk to one another, but their conversation is not important at all. Which is important is you actually have Wolverine realize that the tea was poison. And with the tea being poisoned, he was able to save Storm from drinking the tea. The problem was the rest of the X-Men had already drunk the tea. So Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, Colossus, and Wolverine, they all pass out except Storm. And right now Storm is the last X-Men standing. On top of that, we do see Muriko get in a car because she is going to head to that meeting the letter told her to go to. Now, she has no idea that her driver is not her usual driver. It's Yukio pretending to be her driver as a way to watch over Muriko. Now, we actually do pick up with Scott Summers and Alex Summers, Cyclops and Havoc. And the two brothers have been working in Alaska helping out their grandfather with his business. Now, while doing that, Scott Summers actually met a woman known as Madeline Pryor. The problem is Madeline Pryor looks just like Jean Grey. And so Cyclops have been looking for any kind of information about her to make sure that she is a real person and not some kind of mind trick. Now, Havoc is upset that Scott is even doing that, but Scott explains why. And the reason why, because Madeline did bring up a particular story with her being on a plane and that plane crash. That plane crash happened the same day, the same moment that Jean Grey died. And so with the death of Jean Grey, that plane crash happened. And Madeline Pryor was the only person who has survived the plane crash. And with Madeline Pryor looking like Jean Grey, is Cyclops making sure that everything is good with her, and also possibility that she is not some kind of mind trick. But picking up with Muriko, we actually do see her go to the meeting spot, where she is confronted by Silver Samurai, Madam Hydra, and a random Yakuza leader that actually was a rival to her father, Lord Shingen. Now, the reason why she is here is because, of course, Silver Samurai wants her to hand over the family clan to him. Because again, to him, he was promised by their father that he'll be the one in charge after his father's death. But of course, Muriko was the one who took over. And she even says that with her brother being a villain, a criminal, she will not hand over the family clan to him. And so of course, it does make him upset. And of course, he wants to kill her. But that is when we come to find out that this is not Muriko, this is actually Yukio. Because remember, Yukio was pretending to be the driver of Muriko as they were heading to this meeting spot. And so apparently they changed spots. And so now you have Yukio fighting against the Silver Samurai. And while you have Yukio fighting against the Silver Samurai, that is when you have Madam Hydra go to the limousine to see if Muriko is inside the vehicle. But of course, Muriko is not there. It is Storm. Storm had teamed up with Yukio as a way to deal with this problem. Now, Madam Hydra is knocked out, and so you have Storm go inside to help Yukio fight against the Silver Samurai. The problem is when Storm used her lightning bolts as a way to attack the Silver Samurai, his armor has some kind of ability to kind of capture her lightning bolts, send them back at her as a way to shock her. On top of that, the lightning bolts begin to go around everywhere in the warehouse, and blowing up the warehouse, sending Yukio and Storm flying. Now, you would think the possibility that they're badly injured, but of course, they're okay. But right now, they must find a way to stop the Silver Samurai and also stop Madam Hydra. Now, Silver Samurai was able to find Madam Hydra, and when he does, of course, he finds her badly injured. And with the woman that he loves being badly injured, of course, he now wants revenge against Yukio and Storm, who were able to get away to see another day. But of course, he says that he will find them and he will kill them for what they have done to the woman he loves, Madam Hydra. Now, jumping over to Muriko's private hospital, Wolverine was able to beat the poison very easily because of his healing factor. But with him being able to do that, of course, now he wants to go hunt down the Silver Samurai. Now, Muriko tries to stop him, but of course, it does not work. Instead, you then have him leave. But while he's leaving, Rogue is going with him because Rogue did not drink that poison, which means Rogue and Wolverine can work together as a way to actually stop the Silver Samurai. Now remember, Wolverine does not trust Rogue at all. But at this point right now, he honestly doesn't have a choice but to use her as a way to help him stop the Silver Samurai. And with Uncanny X-Men number 173, we actually pick up with Wolverine and Rogue going around Japan, attacking different places. Now the reason why, because there are men who work for that Yakuza person we saw in the last issue at the meeting Muriko had at that warehouse. That Yakuza person, of course, was a rival of Lord Shingen. But the reason why Wolverine and Rogue are attacking these men is because if they're able to find that Yakuza person, they'll be able to find the Silver Samurai. And so right now you have Wolverine and Rogue just trying to find that one person who'll tell them, hey, this is where he is at, but of course, no one is telling them anything at all. But getting back over to Yukio and Storm, they're trying to find somewhere to lay low for the time being and patch up their injuries. The problem is they can't go to the hospital because, of course, there's people out there who work for that Yakuza person looking for them. And when you have Yukio take Storm to a certain spot that she thought somebody would take her in, of course, no one takes her in because the Silver Samurai had marked them for death. And that is when they do get attacked by some random thugs. But we have to jump back over to Rogue and Wolverine. And the reason why, because they were actually able to find a location that belongs to the Yakuza person they have been looking for. And so you do have Rogue and Wolverine work together as they go through his house. But when they find him, the problem is he is already dead. And Wolverine was able to figure out that he has been dead for a long period of time. And so now the question is, how in the world is this man dead, but he was at the meeting at the last issue? And so that is when you have Wolverine and Rogue both realize that someone is out there right now pretending to be that Yakuza person for some strange reason. But either way, Wolverine and Rogue must move on because their main goal is to actually find the Silver Samurai. But getting back over to Storm and Yukio, this is the moment where we actually see a change in Storm. And the reason why, because when they are able to actually defeat those thugs, Storm still finds the way Yukio acts very intriguing. And with her finding that very intriguing, you actually have Storm kind of trying to be more like Yu-Gi-Oh, more free will, more free-minded. And actually, we're going to see this new look of Storm at the very end of this story. But back at the hospital that belongs to Muriko, where the rest of the X-Men and Muriko are resting at, that is when you actually have Silver Samurai begin his attack on the hospital as a way to find Muriko. Now, of course, Wolverine and Rogue were able to get back there, and you do have Rogue take on the Hydra agents and and Madam Hydra, and that means Wolverine must handle the Silver Samurai on his own. Now, we actually do see Wolverine fight against the Silver Samurai, and this is one of their first battles, but this battle right here actually reminds me of Wolverine fighting against Lord Shingen. And the reason why, because in that battle, Lord Shingen looked at Wolverine as some kind of animal, not a man at all. But of course, when it comes to the Silver Samurai, to me personally, it feels kind of like the same way. Silver Samurai sees Wolverine as some kind of animal. But either way, Wolverine is able to defeat the Silver Samurai. And when he does, you actually have Wolverine go for the killing blow. But that is when he is stopped by no other than Muriko. Now, the reason why she did that is because she is tired of the blood spill. But that is when you actually have Madam Hydra pull out a gun. And with her pulling out this gun, she plans on shooting Muriko or Wolverine, shoot to kill. Now, that is the moment you actually have Rogue jump right in front of the blast. And with Rogue doing that, of course, Rogue is now badly injured. Of course, Muriko and Wolverine are okay. Madam Hydra and the Silver Samurai do leave, but Rogue is now badly injured. And so you have Wolverine realize that maybe Rogue is a good person. She's no longer a bad guy. But either way, you do have Wolverine give Rogue his healing factor as a way for her to heal up, because she is able to take other people's powers. But here comes the downfall to the wedding of Muriko and Wolverine. And the reason why, because while she's out in her garden just trying to have a moment to herself, that is when someone confronts her. He just says her name, a flash happens, and then he leaves. And then, of course, something is wrong with her mind because she feels very dizzy and very tired. But of course, she must continue on for the wedding. Now, you do have the wedding begin, which means you have all of the X-Men arriving to Japan for this meeting. That means Cyclops, Havoc, Polaris, and even Madeline Pryor. Now, Angel, Iceman, and Beast did not come to this wedding for some strange reasons. But either way though, you do have a moment where Illiandra wants to kill Madeline Pryor because Madeline Pryor does look like Jean Grey, and when Jean Grey was the Phoenix, well, she blew up an entire planet. But of course, you do have Charles explain that that is not Jean Grey, that is Madeline Pryor, who looks just like Jean Grey. Now, this is where we get to see the new look of Storm, because she does arrive with her new rocker look, and of course the X-Men are surprised by this look, and of course Kitty Pryde is upset that Storm looks like this now. But either way, this is Storm kind of acting like more free will, free-minded. It's a whole new thing for her character. And you would think the book would end with Wolverine marrying Muriko, but of course that does not happen, because right when they're about to get married, that is when you have Muriko call off the wedding. And the reason why, because she said Wolverine is not worthy, and then she just walks away. Just like that. And with her doing that, we also see that someone else was watching this wedding, and he is happy that this wedding did not happen. And that is where the book ends, and this is where we are going to end today's comic book video. So please hit the like button down below and subscribe. Also, if you have any suggestions on books I should read, well, please let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video.